So we discussed about reading or books, chanting, holy names, and now we are discussing about service. So these three together form as Bhakti we are going to discuss today. Krishna Nam means chanting the holy names, and Krishna Dham means holy place, but holy place is defined by the presence of devotees. If there are no devotees, then that is not holy place. And if there are devotees, that place becomes a holy place. And devotees are devotees because they have knowledge. And that's why we like to associate with them. If they don't have knowledge, then what's the point of associating with them? We don't learn anything, no? So in other words, holy place means associating with devotees. We go to holy place to associate with devotees. An association of devotees means to learn knowledge, exchange of knowledge. So that is why Krishna Dham means taking knowledge. And the best source of knowledge is Srila Prabhupada books. So Krishna Dham is translated as books, reading books. So Bhaktisanta always used to say that if we have to be Krishna conscious, if we have to remain Krishna consciousness for entire life, till the last breath, we have to balance all these three: chanting, reading, and service. And I'll talk about this so almost at the end of the seminar I'm going to talk about this. Chanting, reading, and services, because sometimes in the process of services our chanting goes down. We're so busy. Sometimes because of chanting we leave services. Sometimes due to chanting and services we forget reading. You know, it's a complex situation. So we have to balance. That's why I was just discussing these three topics. Or you can say these three: Krishna Kam, Krishna Nam, Krishna Dham is our Gaudiya Vaishnav's Holy Trinity. That's our Holy Trinity. Christianity, Holy Trinity is the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. For us it is the holy name, the books, and the service. Well, you might be asking, you might be thinking, what's the art of service? Service is service. That's all. Do we have to really learn what is the art of service? It's pretty straightforward, no? Like, somebody gives you do it. That's all. Somebody asks you to clean the floor, okay, fine. Somebody asks you to preach, okay, fine. Somebody asks you to cook, deity worship, you do that, or maybe making garlands, fine, that's fine. So what is the art of service? Why we need this topic first of all, if that's so easy? But that's not so easy, because we have to define what is service. And then, just like I was telling yesterday, chanting holy names will give you the effect if you have the attitude behind the chanting. So service will give you the effect if you understand the proper attitude. That's why we need to learn what is service and what should be our attitude behind those services. That's why Bhaktisanta used to many times say that we are not here in the temple to become laborers. Laborer? Labor? So if you don't understand the concept of service, if you don't understand the attitude, you will end up becoming a labor. That's all. Doing some kind of work, That's all. Nothing more than that. We have to be careful. It's not difficult. You have to know things. That's all. Okay, that's why this seminar is important. Yeah, the slide is gone, so I can't do much with that. Can I have the slides, please? Yeah, okay, thank you. So, this is, sorry. Okay. Prabhupada says in Nectar of Devotion introduction, and he defines service. So anything what we have to understand, we have to give definitions, isn't it? That's very important, defining. Prabhupada explains in Nectar of Devotion, devotional service means to prosecute Krishna conscious activities which are favorable to transcendental pleasure of Supreme Lord Krishna, and any activity which are not favorable to transcendental favor of the Lord cannot be accepted as devotional service. The idea is devotional service means Krishna conscious activities. Prabhupada always said devotion is not inaction. Devotion is not only meditation. Devotion means action. Prabhupada said, and Prabhupada always said, do something, isn't it? Do something. That's the concept of service. Do something. So you would ask Krishna, Krishna, what should I do? And you know what Krishna will say? Krishna will say, that's what I want you to think what you should do for me. I want your brain to work. What exactly you want to do for me and offer me within the limits of scriptures. So it is activities but which are favorable to the pleasure of Krishna. Now it is simple to understand, but the point here is deep. And the point in this definition is very important to understand, because sometimes we lose the point. And the point is, service means not only following, but following in a way that pleases the served. That's very important. Service means action, and action is done according to scriptures, isn't it? You follow scriptures and you act. So service is not simply doing something or following something. It's not mere action. It is a action in such a way so that it pleases the other person. Because sometimes we do something but it doesn't give pleasure to Krishna and his devotees. But then that will not be counted as service. When you speak about Krishna, you include devotees also, isn't it? So if your guru asks, okay, give me a glass of water, and you bring a glass of lime juice. He said, what is this? Like, Guru Maharaj, it's better than water, you know. So you do some service, but at the same time that service doesn't please him. It annoys him. He says, come on, you know, I have a cold and I have a diabetes, I can't take this. You see the point? So, and this goes with devotees also. We serve some devotees, they become annoyed or something, and then we say, it's not our fault, you know, I explained everything, but they became annoyed. What should I do? No, that's not the point there. The point is you have to be expert. You have to be expert to serve in a way so that they become pleased. There's one philosopher, he said ultimately it doesn't matter whether your action is right or wrong. What matters is whether your action pleases the other person or not. Of course, we can't do wrong actions and try to please somebody. That's not the point here. The point is even if you do something right, but it ends up creating conflicts and displeases, it is of not much use. It's better to do something right in a way so that it pleases. That's an art. That's an art. And if you have to do something right and it creates conflict, then sometimes better don't do it. Why do create conflicts, isn't it? That's what we have to learn in a community and in an institution, in ISKCON. Because you might feel this is wrong, this is right, isn't it? There's so many devotees, so many things are happening. Okay, this is happening wrong, this is happening wrong, this is happening wrong in an institution. And you might feel like correcting it, but then when you go on correcting it, it creates problems. It displeases devotees. Maybe they're not able to understand you. Maybe you're not able to communicate properly. And then it creates a problem there. So what to do? If your correction is a major correction, if that fault which is going wrong, it is a major fault, it can bring disaster to the temple and institution, then you should go ahead and correct. No problem. Or go through some seniors to correct them, if you don't have authority to correct. That also counts, no? Isn't it? But if it is minor fault, and if you are not in a position to correct, or if you want to correct but you foresee some conflicts, don't do it. Don't do it. That's all. Let time take over. And when time comes, you can talk to some seniors. When you think your action can benefit somebody, then you should act. Isn't it? If your action unnecessarily creates problems, why to act? First of all, you have already some problems and you create more problems. That's not the point. So we have to be mature in that. We have to be mature. Minor things, okay. So that's why I told you the technique. Sometimes you should learn how to close your eyes. Sometimes you should learn to close your eyes. Otherwise, you know what will happen. Sometimes we have to let people do mistakes also. Otherwise they don't learn. Isn't it? Isn't it? They don't learn themselves. Just like children. If you always point out children in things, they don't become mature. Sometimes they do mistakes and learn from their own mistakes. Let them learn. That's the learning process. Learning process is do mistakes and then learn and do mistakes. That's how you become mature, isn't it? Everybody becomes mature. And that's what Prabhupada did. So these big GBCs at that time, 𝗪𝗲𝗪𝗲 Maharaj and all these, they were in Boston Temple. And they wrote a letter to Prabhupada. Prabhupada, we want to buy a house and we have a big sum of money. And Prabhupada knew they are very immature people. Prabhupada knew at that time. And they were very immature, like 2, 3, 4 years. But they were sannyasis and GBCs, so-called GBCs. But Prabhupada wrote a letter, you decide, it's your money, you decide. Prabhupada wrote like that. Prabhupada in letters, he is giving decision in the hands of those people. Although he knew though they are mature, but he never hesitated to interfere if he saw there is some major catastrophe. He did that, otherwise let it go. So that's the point. This is very important point. The idea is to serve in such a way so that it pleases devotees and Krishna. It inspires people. No? That's why I was telling, noble people are those who bring out good qualities in others and oversee their faults. But evil people are those who see faults and don't bring out good qualities. That's evil. Noble people are like that. Because on that, yesterday I was explaining, everybody has faults, isn't it? Krishna says, every endeavor has a fault. So every service of yours will have a fault. It will not be free of fault. If you want to find faults, there's fault in Krishna also. Isn't it? People find faults. Krishna is not at fault, but people can find faults even if he's not at fault. And we have already so many faults. So you see what will happen to us. People amplify that. So that's a big technique. The technique is to serve so that it pleases. That's the idea. You see the point. Sometimes you see a girlfriend and a boyfriend sitting in a park on a bench and they're not talking. You've seen? They don't talk. They're just sitting. They're sitting for 1 hour, 2 hours, nothing. No talking. Why are they sitting? Because they're finding pleasure, isn't it? They're not speaking anything, they're not doing anything, but they're finding pleasure. So sometimes you can give pleasure to the other person without doing anything also. And that's what is spiritual world all about. Srimati Radharani, sometimes she is sitting and Krishna is watching her and that's all. Nothing is happening. At least physically. No action. But there is pleasure. Ultimately, devotion is all about giving pleasure. That's all. And the rules, regulations are designed, actions in devotional service are designed in such a way which is pleasing to God. But then you have to do in such a way so that it is pleasing. You have to act. Okay. Now the idea here is, right belief will lead to right action, and right action will lead to right result. That's the idea. So association of devotees will give you right belief will lead you to right action, and right action will lead you to right result. What is a right result? Right result is a pleasure of the other person. Pleasure of devotees and Krishna. Sometimes you might have to do some things which you don't like, but it gives pleasure to other devotees, isn't it? Sometimes you have to do that. And if that's the case, okay, fine. No problem. No problem. That's what is devotion. Giving pleasure and not seeking pleasure. And sacrificing your pleasure to please others. That is love, isn't it? That is love, no? You sacrifice your pleasure for the other person. So the other person says, okay, let's go to see a movie. And you don't want to see a movie. But your wife says, suppose, I want to go for a movie. You don't take me anywhere. No, wife always says like that. कहीं लेके नहीं जाते, क्या कर रहे हो? Okay. Now, I want to see a movie. So, but you don't want to see. But nevertheless, you take her, no? So that she doesn't get displeased and she's pleased, okay, good. That is called as service. So service includes the concept of sacrifice. Always remember. That's the point here. To please somebody, you have to sacrifice. To do something, it's not necessary to sacrifice. You do, that's all. Chalo, somebody told do this and do this. But to do and please somebody, you have to sacrifice. Otherwise, you can't please the other person. You have to sacrifice your time, your energy, whatever it takes, I have to please. That's what we say. We want to please Prabhupada. It is also said in scriptures. It is also said in scriptures. Yeah. To offer services is easy, but to please through those services is difficult. You understood? To offer services is easy, but to please the other person through your services, that's the difficult part. We all are doing services, no, chanting, reading, everything. But to please Prabhupada, that's the difficult part. For that, you have to understand what is service. Now, what are the types of services? If you want to please the other person, and Prabhupada says pleasing Krishna is very difficult. Pleasing spiritual master is not so easy. You don't get pleased so easily, no. You have to please them. So, we have to extend our services. What are type of services? One is general and one is specific. By these two divisions, I don't mean that general is more important and specific is more important than general. Both are important, but the categories are why? Because general services are for everybody. Like chanting, isn't it? Following or cooking or maybe reading books. That's general service for everybody. Preaching. But then there are specific services. And specific services are like for example, scientific preaching, isn't it? Or maybe some kind of responsibility which is given to you. So like for example, temple is conducting a festival and you are given a particular service in the festival. That's a specific or particular service. Now, if you want to advance, you have to search for specific services. If you keep on doing general services and if you don't search specific services, you don't advance. You know why? Because specific services brings a sense of responsibility. You know this, isn't it? So you're giving a specific service in the festival to manage the festival. So then that responsibility comes, no? General services, everybody's doing. That's okay. There is some sense of responsibility in general service also. Chanting 16 rounds daily, you have to complete, you have to be responsible. But then because you are doing daily and there is no pressure in that, no? General services, you are doing, everybody is doing, reading books, chanting, okay, good. No much pressure. But the special service is a pressure. And that's what we should be seeking for specific, not special, specific services. So, ask Krishna, pray to him, Krishna, please give me some specific services which I can take through devotees. And take it and do it. And take responsibility. The idea here is responsibility. The more responsibility you take in services, the more we advance. It's not just doing service, it is taking responsibility in the service. It's not just completing the service, the idea is how much anxiety you take to do that service. That's what Krishna sees. And I'll come to this point, service attitude. That's the idea. Is it, do you understand? Are you understanding, all of you? Okay. If you talk about service, there are three types of servants. Service and servants, isn't it? People who are doing service, they are called servants. There are three types of servants. This is from Ramayana, by the way. And Valmiki ji says three types of servants. Third class servant, second class, and first class. Now, third class servant is, he forces the order on himself. Isn't it? Somebody says, okay, do deity worship. He says, yeah, I have to do because I'm in temple, Anyway, I have to do. I don't like, but I'm feeling sleepy, but anyway, do it. That's forcing the order on oneself. By force you are doing. You don't really want to, but yeah, because you're here, you have to do. And a third class servant has mixed feelings to do. He likes, at the same time, some do not like. जैसे कहते हैं ना, अब तो फंस गए, अब तो करना पड़ेगा. I'm just trapped, I have to do, chalo, you have to complete it. So mixed feelings. And third thing is, he does the service only if he feels nice. If he doesn't feel nice, he will either leave the service or procrastinate or make some excuse. That's a third class servant, isn't it? So if you don't feel like doing, make some excuse, theek hai. Second class servant is, he accepts orders. Whatever he said, yes, I am ready. And he likes to do it. It's not force. He likes, he looks forward. And he does as much as it is said. If you ask that the second class servant to clean the floor, he will clean the floor nicely and good, and then he will go into his room and sit. And wait for next order. And he's ready. So after 1 hour you tell him, okay, so now you have to do deity worship. Yes, good, I'll do. He's ready. And he goes do deity worship. After deity worship, he goes in room and sleeps. And waits for next order. That's second class servant. Most of us are into this category. But the first class servant is like Hanuman. And it's from Ramayana, that's why. He doesn't accept order, he expects orders. Expect, you understand? Expect. He looks forward for orders. If one order is finished, he looks forward for the another. It's not that he just waits. He wants more orders. That's the idea. He wants to do. He's so eager. He's obsessed to do services. He's so eager to do services that, So there is one example from the lives of saints. There's a book. So in that, one of the saint, his guru ordered him to write some word, to write O on the floor. And then so he was writing the O, but when the O was just half, like he was putting in the sand, so just half, his guru asked him, give me water. He just left it there, went, took water and gave him. That's obsessed to do orders. He wants order. He wants to do that. You understand the point? He expects. And he doesn't simply like to do, but he's obsessed to do. And this is more important, he does what is more than said. If you give him order to clean the floor, he'll clean the floor, but in addition he will do 2-3 more things. That's like Hanuman. Like I told, Ram told to get information of Sita, but in addition he burned Lanka and he also got information of Lanka and everything. Ram was very pleased. Why it's like that? Because, okay, now tell me, what's the difference between first class and second class? Why second class is like this and why first class is like this? What's happening in them? What's there? Okay, first. Where are you all? Third, second or first? I have to decide first of all. What? Wait. I'll ask you. That's okay. But where's the first question? Where? We are third, second or first? We have to decide that. Third, we are like switching between third and second, Sometimes we become second class, sometimes we become third class, sometimes second class. We are like wobbling into that category, most of us. Now the question is, why third class servant is like this? What's happening in his mind? Why is like this? Now, you have the answer?
Because he's lazy.
Oh, lazy. Okay, good. Why he is lazy? That's my question.
Because he doesn't want to do it.
He doesn't want to do it. Why he doesn't want to do it? Because he is lazy. Why is lazy? Because he doesn't want to do it. You see the point? Okay. Why third class servant is like this? Yeah, come on. You can't see that and speak the same thing, no? There is something happening in him, yeah, which is not allowing him to do orders and not allowing him to do it like with full enthusiasm, full eager, and he can't think more, he's not able to think. Sometimes he's lazy and whatever. What is happening is, Rupa Goswami speaks, Prabhupada says, because his faith is very weak, komal shraddha, no? Kanisht madhyam uttam. That's our philosophy, no? So Prabhupada defines who is a neophyte devotee whose faith is very weak, komal shraddha. Now, I didn't put it like that here. Like we define neophyte who has weak faith. But what is a result of, what is a symptom of weak faith, that I have written here. See the point? If I say, okay, this neophyte devotee is a devotee who has weak faith, but how do you judge it? What's the symptom? This is a symptom. If you have weak faith, this will happen. If you have weak faith in Krishna's orders, and weak faith means not having enough faith to be convinced that if I serve Krishna, everything will be perfect. You see? That's called a weak faith. So that's, his faith is weak because he's not associated with devotees. There are doubts in him. There are doubts in him. If I do this service, what will I get? Or if I do this service, just cleaning the floor, what will happen? Daily I am cleaning, I am getting nothing. And if people start ordering me services, then I will be so busy in all the services, they will start exploiting me. You see the points? This is all happens. They'll exploit me and this and that, and then I will not be able to think about my life. What will happen to my future? We have to think about that also. These people are not going to think about my future. They'll just take services and throw me away. All these things. It's a very practical thing because of lack of faith. That's all. Faith means if you serve Krishna, everything will be done perfectly. Krishna will look after you. Faith is this. You don't have to worry about future much. And we should not. If Krishna will help you to the extent you have faith in his help. And that is why it is said, if we surrender to God fully, he will take care of you. And as soon as you surrender to anybody else other than God, then he will stop. He will say, okay, fine, if you want to take help from somewhere, you manage, no problem. Just like Draupadi, she was asking help, no? Till the time she was asking help from Bhishma and all these people, Krishna didn't come. She had to fully surrender and ask help only from Krishna. Then he helped, otherwise he doesn't help, he recedes back. So that's the point, his faith is weak. He's thinking in future, he's thinking in past, and he's making plans about his own life. A devotee should not be much interested to make plans about his own life. You can think something, of course, I mean to say, you're not supposed to do nothing. Electricity will aaya pada hua hai, you're not paying that. Krishna will look after that. No, that's a bad deal. But we should not be so anxious for making plans for future life. That's the difference, no? We make plans, yeah, it's intelligence, but don't be so anxious. And don't hamper services because of those plans. No. This is the first. Bhaktisiddhanta's disciple Sundaranand Vidya Vinod, he was one disciple. He was married and he used to give his whole salary to Bhaktisiddhanta. You can imagine? Full salary to the temple. And then Bhaktisiddhanta used to say, what is this? He was saying, Bhaktisiddhanta says, okay, fine. So he used to return 50% to him. That's practical, otherwise what will happen? What they'll eat, how they will live. But he used to give. That's called faith. Prabhupada disciples, you see all of them. Like all these three couples who went to England. Who were they? Shyam Sundar Prabhu, Mukund, and what was the third? Gurudas Prabhu. They just went to England with no money, nothing. They had faith and miracles happened. Prabhupada says if you have full faith, miracles will happen. So that's the third, weak faith. Okay. Why are second-class devotees like this? What's happening? Why is like this? What's there in him? How does he differentiate from the third class? Yeah, he has a strong faith. The second-class devotee has a strong faith because of association of devotees. They have faith with regular association. He gets their faith, isn't it? He sees, okay, this devotee, if this devotee can give full salary, why can't I? You see the point? If this devotee doesn't plan for future and he's serving Krishna nicely, then why can't I? What's the difference between him and me? If he can do, I can also do. You see, by association, he gets faith. But he lacks knowledge. He lacks complete knowledge. He's not expert in scriptures. That's the problem. So, because he has faith in devotees and Krishna, he likes to accept orders, you see. He likes to do service. He likes because he has faith. And he does as much as is said. But because he is not expert in scriptures, he doesn't understand the mind of Krishna and the mind of devotees. He doesn't really understand what they want. And that is why he's not able to do more than what is said. You see? If you understand the other person, then you can do what is more than said. Because you understand this will please and this will also please him. And that's what happens, with our family. Because we understand our wife, our children. We do many things for them even without their asking us. Because we understand if we do this, they will become happy. So, this second-class devotee, that's what is defined. Madhyam Adhikari is a person who has faith by association of devotees, but who lacks knowledge, complete knowledge, perfect knowledge. And that is why he's like this. And who is a first-class devotee now? Why he is like this? Now define. He has complete faith. Complete faith and perfect knowledge. By knowledge here we means knowledge of devotion. And by knowledge of devotion means the knowledge through which, the wisdom through which you can understand what exactly my spiritual master or Prabhupada and Krishna likes. You can understand because you have perfect knowledge. You can understand if I do this for Prabhupada, he'll like this. If I do this for Krishna, he will like this. So you have that perfect wisdom in you because you have read the scriptures. And that is why you are able to do more than what is said. Like Hanuman. Hanuman understood the heart of Ram, no? So he knew, even though Ram didn't tell Hanuman that go and burn Lanka, he knew if I'll burn Lanka, Ram will be very happy. If Ram would have told all of us to bring news of Sita, what would you have done? Of course, first of all, he will not tell us. And second of all, Ram told Hanuman, there's nobody in past and nobody in future who can do what you did, even in his mind. We can't accomplish that. You are special. But if suppose Ram would have asked, we would have just gone and taken the news and come back, no? Just take the news, where is Sita? Clicks and just run away quick before we die. So that's what we should, but Hanuman, he understood the heart of Ram. You see the point? That is why first-class devotee understands the heart of Krishna. He understands the heart of our acharyas, Prabhupada. And then he can do more than what is said. He can be creative in his mind. You see the point? And he can do things which will please them. And that is why first class is, Prabhupada was like that. Prabhupada was first class devotee. He could understand what can please Krishna. Prabhupada's guru, Bhaktisiddhanta, he said, go and preach in West. Isn't it? He did that. But then he did something other thing also. He did more than what Bhaktisiddhanta said. Bhaktisiddhanta said, go in West and preach in English. But Prabhupada did more than that. He not only preached in the West, but he brought the West to East. He brought it back. Bhaktisiddhanta didn't say that. Bhaktisiddhanta didn't say bring foreigners to India. He didn't say that. He said go and preach there. But that was Prabhupada's idea. When I bring foreigners to India, when these people will see Western, like dancing white elephants, they will change. They will take to Krishna consciousness. He did more than what is said. You see the point? And that's because Prabhupada understood Bhaktisiddhanta. But his god brothers, they couldn't figure out. They couldn't understand. So they couldn't do these things. You see how it goes? So that is first class servant. We should all aspire to become first class servant. Now answer me, how to become first class servant? How you will switch over from second class to first class? Okay, so here I'm assuming you're all second class servants. At least I should assume like that. I should not think you're all third class. I should think about myself. So if you want to go from second class to first class, what you should do? Yeah, knowledge. That the word used in Bengali in Chaitanya Charitamrita is used nipun, Shastra nipun. Remember this word. Chaitanya Charitamrita says Shastra nipun. That's a first class devotee. That's how we define as first class devotee. We don't define first class devotee as bhav nipun, or first class devotees as what? As maybe, seva nipun is there, but expert in making temples or expert in this, expert. No, we don't do that. We define first class devotee as Shastra nipun. That's what distinguishes him with other devotees. But his Shastra means scripture, nipun means expert. Now, expert in scriptures doesn't mean scholarliness. Don't think that. Don't think if you do 𝗦cie course you will become Shastra nipun. It's not necessary. You might learn shlokas, but you're not Shastra. Nipun, word is nipun. Nipun is a very different word. It is not Shastragya, it is not Shastra Gyata, it is not Shastra Dhvaji something. It is not scholarliness. Shastra nipun. Nipun means, Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami defines Chaitanya. Nipun means who can, so we have two things in nipun. Who is expert in scriptures? First is expertness means who can solve contradictions in scriptures, who can handle contradictions. I told yesterday, by his personal realizations. And the second thing is expertness in scripture means he's so expert in scriptures that he really understands the heart of Acharya and Krishna. That is real expertness. It's not simply scholarliness, no? You got my point? That is Shastra nipun. But that will come if you read Shastras, of course. That will not come if you don't read. So you have to become Shastra nipun. Read Prabhupada books. That's why I was so much stressing on reading Prabhupada books. Without reading books, you can't take a leap from second class to first class, whatever you do. You can't do that. It's impossible. You have to become Shastra nipun. You have to read Prabhupada books. And then act, of course, act services. So you can keep on chanting, you can keep on doing services. Krishna will help you from within. But if you don't read Shastras, if you don't read Prabhupada books, you will not be able to recognize that help. You get my point? You can say, okay, if I keep on chanting, if I keep on doing services, Krishna will help. Yeah, it will help. Prabhupada says, Krishna will never keep his devotees in ignorance. No? That verse is there, 10th chapter. Which verse? You're all Shastra nipun or... Yeah. Teshame vanukam bhartam aham ajnanam jamtama nashya... Yeah. Jnana dipena bhasvata. So Prabhupada writes in that purport, even if a devotee is fool, still Krishna will not allow his devotees to remain fool. He will inspire from within. You see? He will give you help. But the point is, if you have not read books, you will not be able to recognize that help. So, help comes, but you should be able to recognize it, isn't it? And that will happen when you read books. Because Krishna will inspire some thought some idea, but then you will be in doubt whether this is correct or not. You need some confirmation. No, you don't know whether it's coming from Krishna or your own mind. How do you know? He's not speaking to you. He's not coming in. So then after sometimes it happens, no, we chant and we get some inspiration, and then we sit, and the more we think, the more we fall into doubt, Yeah, this inspiration is there, but then there is a problem. There's politics, this is management, I should do or not do, maybe not. Then slowly you get confused and it dies. So you don't know whether it's happening with mind or soul. For that you should read books, to recognize that help. You see the idea of reading books. Without becoming Shastra Nipun, we can't become first class. It's impossible. That's at least our Gaudiya Vaishnava understanding. Okay. This is very important. If you cannot do any service, if suppose you cannot do any service, due to whatever reason, do not deny and do not simply do it out of force. Keep on doing it. And do not go away, never to come back. That's what also happens in congregation. You get some service in temple, you don't like it and you don't want to do it. At the same time you want to do it, and then finally for 1 month, nobody can see you. And after 1 month, then you turn up. Then they say, what happened? Well, they gave me service, but I didn't want to do it, this and that. It happens, no? We have seen in congregation, it happens a lot. But discuss to find ways that you can do that service. With leader, ideas discuss. If you find some service very heavy, and if you can't do it, it's not necessarily wrong not to say I can't do it. You see the point? We are different people, no? We are different people with different nature, isn't it? So if you can't do it, you don't deny it first of all. Straightforward, I don't want to do it. You accept it, okay, I'll do it. But then later you can go and discuss that this is a problem, I can't do this by this, and then you can say, please help me to do it, find a way. At the same time you should add this, isn't it? Then it works. And that is why discussion, when you're doing service, you have to discuss with devotees and the leaders. Because generally we do service but we don't discuss. Isn't it? Some service is said and then we keep on doing. But we don't discuss. And then there is a problem. And then the other devotees come, they say, this service you have not done properly, this and that, isn't it? We expected this, but you don't do this properly. And then they shout, and then there are problems, and this. No, discuss everything. Discuss the intentions and discuss the limitations. Both. Remember these two words. Intention and limitation. Tell what is your intention if some service is given to you. Yes, I want to do it. But this is my limitations, you see, which is not allowing me to do it. So please help me. That's the idea there. Prabhupada writes a letter to Anirudh. It's 1969. Prabhupada writes, this is 1969. Now, you can imagine 1969, beginning of the movement. Many devotees would not be liking to do so many things, so many conflicts. There are new people, this and that. So Prabhupada writes, please note carefully. So Anirudh said, Prabhupada, I'm leaving the service. I'm leaving. He didn't discuss. Sida Prabhupada ko. Prabhupada writes, please note it carefully that you cannot leave Krishna consciousness. That is a fact. And even if you want to leave, Krishna will not leave you. That is also a fact. Prabhupada says that. Even if you want to leave some service, service will not leave you. It will come in some other form. You have to do something. Under the circumstance, you should adjust your situation. You see the point? Prabhupada gives a hint. You should adjust your situation. Adjust how? By discussing. Isn't it? You adjust. I can't do this, I can't do this much, this. You inform. Okay, how much you can do, or if you can't do, why you can't do, everything. And you should, and continue Krishna consciousness very enthusiastically. Now this is very important point and very practical. Are you understanding, all of you? It's very important. Remember these two words, intention and limitations. Clear that up. And always discuss, always talk. Tell about yourself. Tell about yourself. That's another thing. We don't generally tell about our limitations, no? We tell about our intentions. Somebody tells you to service, Prabhu, we want to do and this and that, we are trying. But you don't tell about your limitations. You should openly tell, this is my limitation. It is said in Manu Samhita, you know what it is said? If some service is given to you, and if you can't do it, but then you think, no, service is given, I should not lose it, but you know you will not, but you know you can't do it because of limitations. But at the same time, you don't want to lose the opportunity to serve. And you start doing it, but because you can't do it properly, that service doesn't happen properly. And in the process, the person, any other devotee who could have done properly, he also loses the opportunity to do that service and accomplishes it. You see the point? So what we are doing is, in the process, Krishna loses. You don't lose anything. You lose His mercy first of all, but it doesn't matter whether we get mercy or not. It's not, the question is not me. The question is He. You see the point? He loses that service. So we can't put Krishna at loss, no? So Manu Samhita says, doing a service which you know you cannot do properly, and still nevertheless you do, this is a demoniac mentality. It's a big it's a big statement. It's a evil, it's a demoniac mentality. Because you don't allow any other person to do who is more perfect than you. You see the point? You think I can do it, and I don't allow anybody, I'm perfect and this and that is demoniac. So keep this point. When you are doing service, you are with devotees, you are in community, you are in temple, keep on discussing. You incorporate, it's like that, no? You have meetings, no, after every 15 minutes. Why you have meeting? I used to think, previously when I was young, that why these people are wasting time, meeting, what's the use? Do something. But now, after handling so many devotees back in India and temple, I'm doing management, I have understood the importance of meetings. It's very important. Actually, that's the main thing. Main thing. Without that, everything crashes. That's why corporate people know this. That's why they have meetings and meetings, because a small conflict, a small confusion can break everything, isn't it? It can break team. Your team is gone. Finish. And once it's gone, you can't join it, because they develop some ill feelings also, no? There's a confusion. It's not primarily doubts. Even if doubts are solved, if he has developed ill feelings, he will not be able to work with you. You see the point? So, have meetings, discuss. That is why Prabhupada said every week you should have that. What's that called? 𝗪𝗏𝗃. That's the most important thing. No matter how much busy you are, meet. 𝗪𝗏𝗃 should happen. Maybe in temple or within your group. What group you have, whatever. You can't say, we were busy, Prabhu, so we didn't have meeting. No. That's the main thing, which we should not skip. We have to meet. And the meeting, you should do two things. Generally, 𝗪𝗏𝗃 is like a party, isn't it? Even if people meet, it's like a party. Like it's all prasad and hulla gulla and go back. No, it should not be like that. There has to be agenda of meeting. We have agenda. Prabhupada said Krishna Consciousness is a business. Prabhupada said, no? Prabhupada used this word. He was the first Acharya to use the word business for devotion. Prabhupada said this is a business. And he meant that. So we have to, exactly what they are doing, we have to do here in service of Krishna, because the concepts are right, but they are using for a wrong way. But the concepts are all from Bhagavad Gita. You see the point? So come and discuss two things, intentions and limitations. Discuss limitations. Tell your limitations, ask their limitations, ask their intentions, and according to that you give services. Both things. You got the point? Cruelty is defined as giving somebody orders based on the intentions. That's a cruel person. The idea is you give somebody service and you expect he will do it perfectly without considering his limitation. That's being cruel. Because if he has limitation, he'll not be able to do it, and then you'll scold him. Why don't you do it properly? So, first of all, it's problem with you, it's not problem with him. That's the idea there. So, please discuss, and discuss. Talk, keep on talking. Okay, do the best you can and then leave it on Krishna. Never be discouraged. So when you are doing service, do the best you can and then leave it on Krishna's mercy. Even if your service might not give you result, if you are doing some service, but if it doesn't become successful, you don't get result, don't be discouraged. You know why? Because there is never because a devotee is never defeated. He doesn't lose. Even if he loses, he wins. That is Krishna consciousness. You know why? Because if you want to make a temple and if you can't make a temple, still you win. Because Krishna sees, yes, he was so sincere to make a temple, and he accepts that sincerity and gives you mercy. You win, no? Ultimately you are making temple to get the mercy. But if you tried your best and if the temple didn't come up because of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 reason, whatever, material world is complex, still Krishna gives you the same mercy what he would have given when you would have completed the temple. But the point is, you have to do the best you can. If you have laziness, then Krishna will detect that also. So, and that is why it is said in Krishna consciousness, even loss is a win. Even if you lose, you win. But in material world, even if you win, you lose. Because in material world, what do you want? Money, name, fame, success, and you get it. Means you win. But you lose because ultimately what you wanted, happiness, and you don't get it. So finally you lost, isn't it? Because what you were after, you didn't get. You wanted happiness from money and success and name and fame, but you didn't get happiness, you got that thing. So you lose. Here, even if you lose, you win, because you get mercy of Krishna. That is why Prabhupada says, Krishna becomes obliged to the loving spirit of the devotee and not exactly to the service rendered. This is from Nectar of Devotion, by the way. Nectar of Devotion, I can't see, but Nectar of Devotion, chapter 22. Is there? Okay, yeah, okay. So this is chapter 22, Nectar of Devotion. Chapter 22. No, why it goes? What is this? Likha hua hai? Okay, so, chapter 22, yeah. So Prabhupada is saying Krishna is not exact. Krishna doesn't see exactly what service you are rendering. Your service may be A, B, C, D, E, F, G, whatever. He is exactly seeing what is the spirit behind that service. Isn't it? So if there are 3 people who are sweeping the floor, he will not exactly see that they are sweeping the floor. That's okay, they are sweeping the floor, that's service. But how he will decide to whom to give more service? The spirit, the enthusiasm which they are doing, the love which they are doing, the sincerity which they are doing, that will be taken into account. You got the point? So if there are 2 people, now one person, he is very old and he has got a fracture. Just an example. Fracture of one leg, and he is very old, like 90 years. And he comes to Mangal Arati. He just walks on the stairs somehow and he comes and attends Mangal Arati. And you also come to Mangal Arati. To whom Krishna will give more mercy? Huh? Why? Both are coming to Mangal Arati. Because that devotee is making more effort, you see. So what Krishna is seeing? The effort behind that service. Effort. So if you want more mercy, get a fracture. So you walk. And you have more mercy. No problem. So you see the point here? You see the point? Krishna sees the efforts there. And why he is putting efforts? Because there is limitations on physical body. But without considering those limitations, he's extending himself, isn't it? And putting efforts. So in other words, limitations and problems in life offer a chance for you to get mercy of Krishna. You see the point? If there are problems and still you are chanting 16 rounds, and the other person, like he's like lost his job and he's chanting 16 rounds, who gets more mercy? So if you're free and you can chant 16 rounds, that's okay. But if you have so many work and still you're chanting, completing your rounds and you're chanting nicely, you're trying, you get more mercy, because those problems are helping you to put effort. You see the point? You have to put effort. If you're very busy, you have to put effort to complete your rounds. You have to find time. So problems are our friends. They are our guests. Invite them in your life. That's the idea. Don't shut your door, because they will force you to put effort. See the point? Sometimes they can crush you and you can't do anything. But Krishna will give you courage and intelligence to use problems to increase your efforts. So sometimes it can happen, Sometimes it can happen like a person is practicing devotion for 20 years. But another person, like some 80-year-old man, he just joins, he starts practicing devotion, and he gets cancer, and he's about to die in 4 years. He might get more mercy than a person who is there in 20 years. You know why? Because he knows he's going to die. His spirit of service will be very strong, isn't it? When he'll do service, his mind will be focused. I'm going to die. I have to achieve Krishna. But a person who is practicing for 20 years, he might become lax within himself. You see? He may do the same thing, but you become lax, loose within yourself. So that's the idea. Krishna will not see exactly the service rendered. No one can serve Krishna completely. He's so complete and self-sufficient that he has no need of any service from devotee. It is a devotee's attitude of love and affection for Krishna that makes him obliged. Prabhupada says attitude is a key. Attitude. But attitude without action has no value. Remember? So I'll say, okay, I have perfect attitude for Krishna. And what you are doing? Nothing. But my attitude is very sincere. Does it make any sense? No. Attitude have to be expressed. Isn't it? You can't say to your girlfriend, I love you very much. Now you go home, I'll go home. Tomorrow I'll say the same thing. You have to do something to express that love. No, otherwise she'll not be convinced. You can say 100% I love you. But no. You have to do something. You have to express that attitude. Similarly, attitude without action has no value. And action without attitude is almost useless. So we have to have both. We have to do action with a proper attitude, and then Krishna becomes pleased. That is Bhagavad Gita. 3rd chapter is Karma Yoga, action. 4th chapter is Jnana Yoga, attitude, knowledge. 5th chapter is action in Krishna consciousness, action with a proper attitude. Krishna combines both. And 6th chapter is Dhyana Yoga. Yes, be attentive that your attitude doesn't spoil. Be attentive, dhyan. Be attentive that whatever you're doing action, you should be responsible. That's 6th chapter. That's how Gita goes. So do something, no problem. Even do something for Krishna. Keep on doing. Even if you don't get results, no problem. If you're sincere, if you're enthusiastic, if you're applying your whole intelligence, you will have same mercy, even if you don't get results. Never be discouraged in Krishna consciousness. Never. If you become discouraged, Krishna becomes discouraged, isn't it? If children become discouraged, parents become discouraged, no? And Krishna will think, he become discouraged now, what should I do? He will be forced to think about us now. If you become discouraged, he will be forced to think about us. And then we will be a burden on him, rather than adding something on him. We don't want him to unnecessarily think about us. No? He has so many things to do, Okay. But if you are discouraged sometimes, and sometimes we all are getting discouraged, no? Sometimes we get discouraged. We do something, there are so many problems. Think how much Krishna is serving us. If sometimes you get discouraged because of politics, if sometimes you get discouraged to serve because of your own mind, sometimes you get discouraged to serve because you're not getting any result, then think how much Krishna is serving us. Prabhupada says in Room Conversation, Columbus 1969, first says, oh, why not serve God? He's so great. He's giving us so many things. Let me return something. Let me do some service for Him. Krishna gives us so many things. He keeps on giving us. And when we think about it, naturally we will want to reciprocate with Him and give Him back. If you do become discouraged to serve Him, think Krishna is never discouraged to serve us. Isn't it? Understand? Krishna is never discouraged to serve us. If it would have been somebody else other than Krishna, by now He would have left you. Gone case. He can't be repaired. Irreparable. He would have been discouraged. Project closed. Because Krishna is trying so many lifetimes, no? As Super Soul. He has tried so many lifetimes to bring us back to Him, but we didn't. He made this plan, that plan, that plan, that plan. He made the best plan, but we failed it. Somehow we are more expert than Him. In that sense, to fail His plans. So, but He never got discouraged. Still He's enthusiastic to bring us back, isn't it? So if He's not getting discouraged, why should we? So that's how devotee gets enthused day by day, day by day, day by day, day by day. Yes, I should serve Him. There's no question of discouragement. Prabhupada said, no question of discouragement. If you know Krishna, what He's doing for us, you can't help stopping serve Him. You can't stop serving Him. It's impossible. And I talked about Krishna is giving us so many things. And this is very important. Service is giving and not taking. Remember this. Service is giving and not taking. Prabhupada said in Srimad Bhagavatam, Montreal, this is a lecture, August 17, 1968, Prabhupada said, therefore we should try to give to Krishna, not to ask, because He has given us everything without asking. Because Krishna gives us without asking, we have to give Him without asking. You see? It's very simple logic. Now the idea is, you go back and take a diary and make 2 columns. And one column you write what you have taken from Krishna, and another column you write what you have given to Him. And then you see what is your devotion. You try to do this exercise and you will find you have taken everything from Him. And you still want more. So you have taken His prasad, you have taken His devotees, you have taken His temple, you have taken His mercy, you have taken His holy name, you have taken His scriptures. But what you have given, that's what Krishna will see. He will not see what you have taken. At the time of death, there will be just one question, what you have given to Him. What you have taken, He will not ask you. We have taken festivals, we have taken holy place, so many things. Everything we have taken, what you are giving. No, that's what you have to fill there. If you can fill if you can fill even 10 items there in that column of giving, your life is perfect. But you'll not be able to come up with 10 items, you see. You'll not be able to, it's difficult. So what we are giving to Him, just figure out. And try to fill that column. Don't try to fill this column, taking. That will not help you. But we need to take to become enthusiastic to give, isn't it? If you don't take, how can you? Because these things what Krishna is giving, it helps us to purify ourselves and give Him back, isn't it? So taking is not bad unless you give back. So that is a gentleman, no? If you keep on taking everything from somebody and if you don't give back, he's what? He's like a, what do we say? Selfish? Mean? Yeah, he's a mean person. So we have festivals on Diwali. They give you gift and then you give them gift, no? That's how it goes, no? You don't just keep on taking from somebody. So Prabhupada says Krishna consciousness is for gentlemen. It's for gentleman. It's not for foolish people. So gentleman understands this. So please, service is giving and not taking. Give something to God. So fill that column. So anybody can tell at least one thing, what do you give? Okay, we want to fill this column, giving. So what should I write? Anything? How? Chanting? Okay. You're taking the holy name. It's more of taking, you know. Okay, yes. Giving, serving prasadam to devotees, you're giving. Okay, good. Fine. And what else?
Give your time.
Yeah, you can give your time. That's also a good idea. Not bad. And? Yeah?
Don't we truly only own one thing?
What's that?
One thing that we carry lifetime after lifetime.
I can't. Huh?
Ourselves.
So then, what do you want to do?
So if we're taking from Krishna, it's for a reason, so that we can give ourselves.
Yeah, so that's what I'm asking. What do you want to give? I mean to say, we can say give ourselves, but it doesn't make any practical sense, no? Anybody can say, I've given myself to God. But I'm asking some practical things you can do. Prabhupada asks practical things, no? You're right, it's theoretically right. But what's a practical thing? So that's a practical thing, serving prasad, you're giving to devotees, giving your time, giving your money, you see? And what else? Preaching, giving knowledge. You see 4? 4, 5 हो गए कितने? Adaji, what? Okay. Giving books to others, that comes in preaching, knowledge. So there are 5 now. Now more 5 you have to, now it becomes difficult now. Till 10 it's difficult to go. So for that you have to now figure out some special services. You see the point? The concept of general service and specific services? Not special, specific service. So you have to get some specific service to add to that list. These are all general services which everybody does. It is equally important as specific, but to add more you have to see. Then you have to search for services. You got the point? So you have to increase that list. You make the list of taking, and that giving list should be more than, it should be longer than taking. Then that's good. So you have a chance to go back to Godhead. Otherwise there's a problem there. Okay, keep all your services pure. That is Srimad Bhagavatam 7.9.1, Mayapur, February. And then I can see. This is a lecture. Keep service very pure. Prabhupada says, very cautiously and intelligently we have to make progress in spiritual life. This is 1976. Oh, this is 1976, the last. And Prabhupada recognized in his movement, people have to keep themselves pure. Prabhupada says, very cautiously, intelligently, we have to progress in spiritual life. Don't take it very insignificantly. We should be very much careful, otherwise there is fall down. And once fall down means a gap of millions of years. There's a gap of millions of years. You have got this human form of life to complete Krishna consciousness, but if you are not serious, then again a gap will be of millions of years. After millions of years, you will again get Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada says here. It's not necessary that next life you will again get Krishna consciousness. It's not even necessary next life you get human form of life. Although in general we say if you practice Krishna consciousness, you're guaranteed human form of life. It is said like that. But that's a very general saying. You don't know what's going to happen. Absolutely. Like Bharat Maharaj didn't know that he will get attached to a deer. He didn't know. And then he got new. So Prabhupada is saying, keep service pure. That means keep your attitude pure. That attitude, that spirit of service, that efforts. Keep on increasing your efforts to serve Him. Keep on increasing your sincerity to serve Him. Keep on giving Him, don't take from Him. See all this is all attitude in service. That's what I was talking about. Keep it pure. Do everything only for pleasure of Krishna, not for your own pleasure. So service, not per se, but the loving, with the spirit behind that service, that's what Krishna is going to see. That will matter. Prabhupada said, do not just do services but create services. That's very important. Doing service, so that's the difference between first class devotee and second class devotee. Second class devotee will simply do. First class devotee will create services for himself or others. Like Prabhupada said, this letter 1971, Prabhupada said, I have hatched this transcendental plot for getting money by selling my books. And if we stick only to this plan and use our brain for selling books, there will easily be sufficient money. You see? So Prabhupada created a service of book distribution to get funds. That was a very good plan, because otherwise how this institution would grow, you need funds. And Prabhupada thought about it. And he came up with a transcendental plot, Prabhupada says. That's a nice thing. So Prabhupada could create services. He was first class devotee. He was creative. He could do that. That's what we should be doing. We should create services for devotees who are around us and for ourselves. For that you have to think. You have to apply your brain. That's all. Okay. Make services very interesting. Whatever service you do, make it interesting. That's up to you. How to make it interesting, you know. Otherwise, it will be boring after some time. Prabhupada says, I quoted here, Bhagavatam purport. The original purpose of text must be maintained. No obscure meaning should be screwed out of it. Yet it should be presented in an interesting manner for understanding of audience. This is called realization. I mentioned yesterday what is realization. But the point here is, Prabhupada says, yes, you have to, whatever you present in an interesting way. Whether it's lecture, whether it's service, whatever you do, it should be interesting, because Krishna consciousness is interesting, because Krishna is interesting now. You see the point? Okay, tell me a question, tell me answer. Why we have to make service very interesting? Why? What's the answer for this? Yeah? Okay, fine, so that enthusiasm doesn't go down. Okay, we can continue, but this is number 2. Number 2 point. What's the number 1? What's the number 1 point? Why we should make services very interesting? See, generally, you know what happens in Bhakti Vikasa program. You have Bhakti Vikasa programs, no? Isn't it? So what happens is, you come, 10 minutes kirtan, then what's that? Then some discussion, then lecture, then 5 minutes kirtan, then prasad, and then go. हो गया format? हो गया? ठीक है. Every time this happens. So, many devotees all around the world, they say it's boring because there's nothing new. We know what's going to happen. You see the point? So anyway, I'll come to this point afterwards, but the idea is, my question is, why we have to make service interesting. Now, second point, what you said, it should be to create enthusiasm, yes, to make it interesting. If you want to make anything interesting, what's the sutra for that? Variety is mother of enjoyment. There has to be variety. There has to be a change. That's this material world all about. It's changing. It's temporary, no? Temporary means change. And any change will attract you. If things keep on changing, it will attract your mind. Because the nature of mind is like that. If things are same, it will be boring. Just like same Mangal Aarti daily. Phew, so boring. Nobody comes. It was the same. Of course, it's not the same. That's the idea. Now, I'll explain you. If we think it is the same, then it is boring. Now, what's the first point I should write? Right. Why we should make service interesting? Yeah. Wait, just Mataji. She was there. Okay. One thing, yeah, to give full pleasure to Krishna. Yeah, you're near the point. Yeah. If we are bored, he will not feel pleasure. No. Okay. Can you let's add something to the top of it.
One is doing with interest, those will attract other people, like you get more happiness
Okay, fine. Yeah. It will help in preaching. That's a very good point. It will help in preaching. If service is made interesting, it will help in preaching. That's a very good point. But what's the first? No. We have to make service interesting for ourselves also, isn't it? Not for others. For ourselves also. The first point is we have to make service interesting for ourselves, for others, whatever it is. Why? Because one of the name of Krishna is, Nectar Devotion says, the first word, 𝗙𝗃 𝗪𝗲𝗪𝗲𝗪𝗲. You have know this Nectar Devotion? He is a reservoir of all pleasure and all mellows. Krishna is a person who likes dynamic things. Otherwise he gets bored of. Krishna gets bored of very easily. That is why he's doing so many things in Vrindavan, no? He's playing, he's killing demons, he's doing something naughty and something. No, Krishna is like that. Because he is supreme enjoyer. He wants to enjoy everything. All rasas, no? Dasya ras, Vatsalya ras, Madhurya ras, Sakhya ras. Like Vishnu, if you compare Vishnu and Krishna, Vishnu is pretty boring person. if you see from that perspective. He says, okay, Dasya ras, okay, fine, that's it. Maximum Sakhya ras with all reverence. But Krishna is not satisfied. He wants everything, no? He wants everything. Give me Govardhan. Give me more to eat. Give me. He's doing so many. He's a very dynamic person. He is different from Vishnu and Narayan. We understand that. And because he gets very easily bored of, we have to make our service interesting, because the idea is to please Krishna. That's the idea. It's not to bore him. So we are making service interesting not for ourselves first, but for Krishna. That's the point. That is why I put it number second. To keep ourselves enthusiastic, that's number second. If Krishna becomes pleased and enthusiastic, automatically you will become enthusiastic, no? He's super soul. If he gets pleased, your soul gets pleased. Simple. So that is why for him we make things interesting. That is why you go to South India, all these people who worship Vishnu, it is so boring, no? Like South Indian temples, ting, 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 go aarti ke waqt, aarti is happening and bell is going dang, 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 dang. Some rituals are going on in the temple. But we like ISKCON, like a Gaudiya Vaishnav, their kirtan going on. It's a different atmosphere, no? South Indian temples is a different. I'm not saying it's not nice. We feel nice to go. But if you compare, this is really interesting. There's so many things here. Their rituals are there, and this and that and that. Here it's okay. It's nice. And that is why people got attracted to our movement, no? They were not attracted by all these big temples and rituals. They were not. So that's the idea. We have to make it interesting for Krishna. You see the point? Now, if you know Krishna, you will be able to do it. If you understand who is He. That again it comes to that point. You have to understand who is He. What He thinks, what is His heart all about. That you will get by reading books. Otherwise you'll never be able to figure out who is He, isn't it? How we will advance. We will not be able to take proper decisions. Make it interesting. And to make your services interesting, be creative. Now that's what I was talking about. So Bhakti Vikasa program is there. There's a pattern to that. Now I don't say it's wrong. It's good. You can do that, follow that pattern. But what I saw is, in India, in my devotees congregation, so many congregation complained, we get bored of, because we know what's next. We know, okay, 5 minutes kirtan, then lecture, then kirtan, then prasad. Okay, it's typical like that, no? So what I did personally, I told them, give a surprise to them, to the leader. Okay, fine. If they come to Bhakti Vikasa, suddenly you can change the plan. You can show them a movie, a Prabhupada movie. And next time you can play a quiz. Do something. And by doing this, the congregation was looking forward for that program. You don't have to call them. Otherwise you have to call them. Bhaiya program hai, kahan. It happen like that. No, you have to be after them. Where are you? And this and that and attendance. Then it doesn't happen, So variety is mother of enjoyment. That's what by Prabhupada was successful. He made this movement interesting prasadam and dancing and chanting and book distribution, festivals. And Prabhupada's godbrothers were not successful because they didn't have this idea of to make it interesting. They didn't do that. It was very prototype thing, and nothing happened. This is one tip you can apply in your Bhakti Vriksha. Change things. Change the pattern. Same pattern can bore people. You can change the pattern, you can change the content, if not pattern. Do something. We are human beings, we are not machines, by the way. See the point? Okay, plan your services. This Nectar of Devotion introduction. Prabhupada says, thus in our mental activities, we should always try to think of Krishna and try to plan how to please Him. We have read in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, always think about me, isn't it? Manmana bhav. But what's the meaning of thinking? Meaning of thinking is planning. It's not just thinking His form, His qualities, and not planning. Thinking includes planning. You have to plan what to do. Prabhupada, this is a very beautiful word. And this is right there in Nectar of Devotion. And Prabhupada planned his services. When Prabhupada was in India in Radha Damodar temple, he planned, I will translate Srimad Bhagavatam in English and it will take me 12 years. Prabhupada planned that with a single-handed person, without the help of, he planned, if I go by this speed, it will take me 12 years to translate Bhagavatam, and while that time I will start printing magazines back to Godhead and distribute. And then Prabhupada planned, I have to go to Japan and do this thing. So have you seen Prabhupada's diary? That note diary? Anybody seen? Prabhupada kept a diary and he noted everything daily and every month, and how much he spent, every penny, whom he has to call, and everything. Everything is planning. All great people plan their services. So you should plan. So you should have a long-term plan, mid-term plan, and short-term plan in your Krishna consciousness. Write that. It should be, Prabhupada says it's science. It is not, we are not, what is the difference between ISKCON and Sanatan Mandir? Otherwise, it's Sanatan Mandir. You come, do puja, go. You have to plan. What is your long-term contribution to this movement? What do you want to do? What is your mid-term? In 2 years, what you want to achieve? What is your short term? In 1 month, what you want to do? In your sadhana, in your services, in temple contribution, whatever. But everything should be planned. And then you keep on working on that. You see the point? If you don't have a vision, you don't achieve it. So that's planning your services. It's very important. That is mental activity. And this is something at the end, what's a balance, How do we balance between service and chanting? You understand the question now? There's a problem, in ISKCON life, it's very busy life. So sometimes you leave chanting, or even if you do chanting, it's just like, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, chalo, ho gaya. Because there are many services also, especially for full-time devotees who are staying in the temple. So how do you balance? If there is a balance between service and chanting, first point is do not think about service while chanting. Do not do that. You might feel nice. Anyway, I'm thinking of Krishna. But that's wrong. Huh? Oh, sorry, wrong. That's wrong. Okay, so you figured it out. That's a good thing. Do not think about services while chanting. This should be do not. That's all. Do not think. Generally managers have this tendency, they're chanting and thinking about management. Or we all think, when we think, it's good, we are thinking anyway of Krishna, that's wrong. When you are chanting is a service, by the way. Isn't it? I told you it's the best service. So when you do that service, don't think of any other service. Don't mix things. When you do this service, when you're doing any other service, then you can chant. But when you're chanting, you're not supposed to think of any other service. It doesn't go the other way around. And that's where you have to focus on holy names. That's all. Finish. You have to control your mind. And if you have to give preference between service and chanting, what do you prefer? If there's a preference, if you have to choose whether I should do service or chant, what will you do? Service, chanting. Well, it's not an easy question. It depends on the context and the circumstance. If there is a festival like Janmashtami and service is required, then on that day you can leave your chanting. Sometimes it happens like that. Janmashtami, like full-time devotees like us, in temple you are very busy because so many thousands of people are coming. So without any most of the devotees, their chanting is gone, because you're on fast and then so many people and management this. So we do chanting, then people complete chanting on the next day. So sometimes when service is required, it is absolutely required. Without you, service cannot happen. At that time we can sacrifice chanting and probably do it next day, no problem, because that's required. We can't even not do that service, and keep Krishna at loss. You see the point? If you don't do that service and nobody else is there to service, Krishna is at loss. That we don't want. We can put ourselves at loss, but not Krishna. You understand? It's your chanting, it's your matter. You can put yourself at loss. You can take that sin. But Krishna's service should not get hampered. That is gopis, isn't it? Gopis were ready to go to hell, no? When Krishna had a headache. Okay. So if that is absolutely required, but you should not take an excuse like this, no? Oh, we were very busy, so Prabhu, I didn't chant for 1 year. Now I will complete. Some devotees say like that also. I have seen, so that's foolishness. So if you have to prefer, you have to see. Generally we prefer chanting. Generally, if you have to choose, chanting is the first. Then comes service. But now, these kind of special festivals and special requirement, there you can leave chanting and do service. You see the point? Otherwise, chanting is the first thing you have to complete. There are many Prabhupada's letters, and Prabhupada says, complete your chanting, whatever happens, you can't afford. And if you can do service and chanting both, that's the best. Okay, chanting should inspire to serve. That's the idea. So you say, okay, I prefer chanting, so I've been chanting for 1 year and don't do any service. That's nonsense, because when you chant nicely, you are inspired to. So that's what we are praying, no? Please engage me in service. So you can't say I was chanting, and then I was not doing service. That's also wrong, because if you chant nicely, you will be inspired to serve Him. You will automatically serve Him. You see the link between chanting and service. So we have to be mature enough. The more you chant, the more you want to serve. The more you want to serve, the more you serve, the more you want to chant. It nourishes each other. It goes like that. And then your devotion advances. And if you want to choose between reading and service, then what's the preference? Reading and service, not reading and chanting. Reading and service. If you have to choose, okay, reading or service. Well, if you have to choose, if anytime you have to choose service. If you are forced to choose. Because ultimately, what you are reading, at every page you are reading, serve. No, that's what we are getting convinced for. If you have to choose service. But this doesn't mean you don't read. But that's for special circumstances, if you have to choose. If there is a choice, choose service. But at the same time, reading should enthuse you to serve. Reading helps us to serve. And the more you serve, the more you want to read, isn't it? Because the more you do service, the more you want to know about the person whom you are serving. Naturally. And how to know that person whom you are serving? By reading. If that is why, if you are serving and if you are not inspired to read, this means something is wrong in this box. Something is wrong. Because you are serving Krishna and you don't want to know about Him. It's crazy, no? It's absolutely madness. It's madness actually. You are chanting 16 rounds, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram. So many times you are chanting Krishna and you don't want to know Him. It's what's happening, It doesn't make any sense. If you think logically, it doesn't make any sense. And there's just one conclusion, you're not chanting Krishna. Even if you are chanting Hare Krishna, this means you are not really chanting Krishna. It's not touching your soul. If that word was touching your soul, you will be super enthusiastic to know who is this person, Krishna. How he talks, how he walks, how he looks, isn't it? If you are chanting Aishwarya Rai, Aishwarya Rai, what will happen? You will want to know her. Okay, let's want to know about that. Or if you chant anything else. So if you chant Tommy, 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 then what will happen? Then you will naturally ask, no, me, what's Tommy? What I am doing? Who is Tommy? I want to know about this Tommy, Everybody is chanting Tommy. Who is this Tommy? And then you will do some research. What's that Tommy all about, And then somebody says he's a dog. Oh, but then why everybody is chanting his name, Tommy? Then you should have some special dog. Let's do research, isn't it? It's natural. And yet we are chanting Hare Krishna, 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 but we are not interested to know about him. There is some kind of problem here. Something is wrong. You get the point? And the obvious thing what is wrong is, Prabhupada and all our acharyas, they say the wrong thing there is, this means you are not chanting Krishna's name properly. You're just repeating some words. If you were really chanting Krishna's name with a view he is a person, and I'm chanting to please him, you will inevitably want to know about him. You will do some research on him. Then you will read Krishna book. Then you will read Nectar of Devotion. And you will. That's why it is said reading enthuses you to serve. And service enthuses you to read. It goes both ways, no? Chanting is service and enthuses you to read. Oh, sorry. Reading keeps service alive also. If you don't read, you lose enthusiasm, isn't it? You lose enthusiasm. And then you don't feel like doing services. If you don't hear lectures, you lose enthusiasm. The lectures is reading, knowledge, exchange. If you don't hear Prabhupada's lecture, find time to read in busy life of service. It's very good to balance between reading and service as much as possible. If you want to sacrifice reading, but not always, special circumstances. Daily you should read, daily you should do service, daily you should chant. These three columns has to be there daily. Krishnam, Krishna Kam and Krishna Dham. Remember this. Remember this sutra. Krishnam, Krishna Kam and Krishna Dham. Krishnam means chanting. Krishna Kam means service. And Krishna Dham means books, reading. Or maybe lectures also. Yeah. Knowledge. Knowledge. You have to get knowledge. And the last is, this is Srila Prabhupada saying one of his letters. Actually, one should try to serve Krishna to his or her full capacity without the thought of reward, because service is itself the reward. This is the importance of service. We serve Krishna to our full capacity. Full capacity of energy, time, money, whatever we have to give it to him without the thought of reward. We don't want anything from Krishna. That's love. Just like a mother gives everything to her child, but she doesn't want anything, no? Because service is itself the reward. When you are serving Krishna, you should remember that is in itself the end. That is your greatest achievement in life. When you are serving him, that moment, nothing less. That's the greatest achievement. And when you go to spiritual world, you will do the same thing, isn't it? That should be convinced. And if you want enthusiasm to serve, you can read Prabhupada books, but even seeing Prabhupada is enough. That is why we have his deities here. Simply if you see Prabhupada and if you know him, you will be inspired to serve Krishna, isn't it? It's as simple as that. That is why we have parampara there. We pay obeisances. And it's so easy to enthuse yourself in Krishna consciousness. Simply come and see Prabhupada, that's all. Simple. That's as simple as that. And when you see Prabhupada, you want to know what he says, and you read his books, and that's how we can continue to serve Krishna. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Any questions? And just 2 minutes, and I'm done. But before that, it's the end of the seminar today. And I'm going then. I've been speaking about these pen drives. If anybody wants to get these pen drives still, you can have it. It's in Hindi and English both, all these seminars I've been talking about. And if you have any questions, you can ask me personally. That's okay, it's getting late. But I have 3 days I have told you about reading, service and chanting. You can go and revise what I have told you, apply in your life, balance this, make your life perfect, and help others also to come up. That's what we should be doing. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Okay. We just finish now.